Hello and welcome back to another edition of A Glass from the Past. Today I'm trying an interesting little beer. It's from Jolly Pumpkin Artisan Ales in Michigan. And this is called Biere de Mars, which means beer of March, even though I'm not tasting it in March. They call it a French-style stock ale aged in oak barrels. And as most of you know, pretty much everything Jolly Pumpkin does is aged in oak barrels. So again, French-style stock ale aged in oak barrels. Today, if you look on the website, it's actually going to call this a Belgian-style sour ale. So somewhere along the line, this kind of changed up a little bit. You'll see that it's a real nice burnished bronze color and very, very little head. Even though I poured it aggressively to try to work up a head, I find more and more that with acidic beers, the higher the acidity, the less the head seems to maintain. So yeah, obviously this one has got some acid in it, and we'll talk about that in just a second. On the aroma, I get definitely an earthiness, a little bit of a funkiness, and something we call geosmin. And there's a fun little word for you to look up there. Basically means it smells like soil, you know, like black dirt, that sort of thing. Behind that, I pick up on just a little bit of light caramel malt and what I describe as being pickle brine. If you've ever opened up a jar of pickles and taken a whiff, that's kind of what I'm getting out of this. There's no question about it, this beer has very aggressive acidity. It's very tangy, and again, I get that brininess on the palate. Definitely mouth puckering. It's almost like drinking pickle juice with that vinegary character. The oak that is evident here really doesn't show up until after the malt starts to fade away, which is pretty quickly, by the way. So the oakiness is more of a background note, not really very forward. The body is thin and rather flat, very little CO2 on the palate. The finish is quite dry and, as you would expect, very lip smacking. If you are a fan of sour beers, you will be challenged by this one. This one is basically going to let you know whether you really like sour beers or you don't, because this one is kind of, you know, to me, it's just about over the top in that it doesn't have a lot of maltiness or sweetness to balance out the acid levels. If you happen to have this beer in your cellar, especially 3 years or older, I would suggest drinking it. I don't think there's a lot of good years ahead of this. So drink up, Shriners. Remember, every beer is an education. Cheers.